My work is about land, geography, and how people who live on that land, in that geography, are affected by the things that happen there, especially, I think, things that happen right underground, right underfoot. There is a creative thinking exercise where you take a kitchen knife and a ruler and a sieve, and you go outside into the yard or wherever you want, and you create a sort of a study tank. And what you do with your tools is find a piece of ground away from foot traffic, and you measure off a foot square at the surface, remove the turf or the grasses or whatever's on there, and you lay that to one side for later investigation, and you start digging with a trowel, kitchen spoon, whatever. And what you're doing is you're aiming to make a hole that's 12 inches deep by 12 inches wide square, so that you have a 1 foot square. And you have to have your pen or pencil and paper there, because you make notes and drawings of what you dig up and where you found it. 2 inches down, 4. This exercise is meant to creatively wake you up to what might be underfoot that you'd not thought about since you were a kid. And you put it all back when you're finished. I think digging is an act of remembering things that you used to know. People, animals, and the wind and the water, and the heat and the earth have always dug. And sometimes there are treasures, precious metals, fresh water, the bones of dinosaurs, who knows what. My own experience of digging has been the garden in spring, and by accident digging up hibernating toads, bumblebees, bones the dog buried, and beetles, lots of beetles, more beetles than anything. There always is a story down there, though. And there's another way of digging that doesn't need any muscle. I think of dreaming. To dream is to dig, and yet you never lift a shovel. In fact, really, you can't even lift your head off the pillow. Only your eyelids move in that funny back and forth quick movement that's known as REM, or rapid eye movement. And of course, your heart and your lungs and everything else that's vital to your life, that keeps working. But most of your voluntary muscles, they won't move, they're not available. Yet, all this time that you dream, all this time you're asleep, your mind acts like it's awake. And that makes it paradoxical, because you have an active mind with a sleeping body. A body that's so relaxed, the muscles that let the body move really are virtually anesthetized. It's supposed that this is made to happen so that you won't act out your dreams, just in case they're violent, or in case you're going to walk out on a third-story roof or something. It keeps you safe. But at the same time, you can invent stories and watch them play out somewhere in your mind. So I made a creative project out of these two interests, digs and dreams. And I've called it Stories and Dreams from the Prairies. I decided to limit the range of what I could find underground to the collections in natural history museums across the prairies of British Columbia, Alberta, and North Dakota. In general, we know these places as being dinosaur museums, and they're easy to get to from any real highway as you travel across. And who doesn't love a dinosaur? Actually, what I wanted to find was the tiny horse, the dawn horse, from the time that came after the death of the dinosaurs. That Eocene epoch, 35 million years ago, it was called the New Dawn Age, which is such a pretty idea. A new dawn age when the sudden appearance of very small mammals and flowering plants happened, much of which still lives now, right here, right everywhere we are near the prairies. While we so knew, we're here too. So the events of that time interested me and really informed the project. I like thinking that maybe humans gather knowledge about time and place where they've never been or even existed through their dreams. I imagined that maybe there are remnants of memory in us that comes from all the creatures that lived before us, and perhaps, I don't know, but perhaps are now part of our DNA. So I didn't know this, but I could imagine it. And any artist who can imagine is off and running. So dreams of the prairies joined stories of the prairies. And here's the thing. I feel protective of that deep time and place, that new dawn age of the tiny horse, where we humans never were and never can really be. So even in dreaming, I wanted to respect limits. I decided to show it would be actually a violation to step foot on the ground of that deep, deep past. So I had to invent carriers for humans to travel in, even in their dreams. So in some of my work, the dreamers travel in structures on wheels, and the dreamers must stay inside their structures and not set foot on hallowed land. Another possibility is that they can witness in their dreaming by sending out just their minds. And I decided to represent that by MRI images. You see those MRI images all through my work because I like the way it looks. And then there was one more thing that helped the stories of the prairies. I like to read, and I find that authors, even scientists, can only have what is called truth for a little bit of time, just a little bit, because truth is stapled firmly to time and context and culture. Pulled free of its staples, truth will drift. So I used quotes from ancient writers who wrote the first natural histories. My first is Lucretius. And I used current scientific theories about evolution and old theories about evolution, about how things began. And I used my own thoughts too. So the little title cards under the batiks are a part of the work, and they're meant to show how very relative truth is. One more thing. I made these stories on cloth or paper with wax resist and natural dyes. My inspiration for using the materials that I do, and have forever, is the textile tradition of Indonesia, where in textile batik of a long time past, the cloth was designed to speak of fertile land symbolically, and to help humans be well and fertile like the land. I adhere to the principles, to the thinking of this batik culture, which still goes on in Indonesia. But I've gone my own way with it, of course, straight into my own time, my own place, and my beliefs, and those of my community.